Thanks for tuning in to Picture Lock. I'm Kevin Sampson, and my next guest wants to create a better space for Black girls in schools. She explores that in the documentary Clothed Minds. I have director producer Carletta Hurt on the line with me. Carletta, welcome to Picture Lock.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're very excited to be our first festival, so we appreciate you guys selecting us. We're very excited, so thank you.
Yeah, oh, it's definitely my pleasure. I think this is a very important film. But first, I like to take it back a little bit. When did you first fall in love with film?
So it's a very kind of quirky story. I was have a master's in counseling. I was in grad school, and the guy I was dating at the time was raving about his brother, this awesome filmmaker, and I was like, yeah, right, because I didn't like him. And so he was like, no, he's like big time. I'm like, he doesn't do anything. And so he was never in town. He was always like traveling. So this one night he calls me like, hey, I'm in town shooting this project. This is in Washington. If you're interested, call this lady and keep calling till you get her until I told you to call. Right. But I did it. I was like, I'll try this out. And my first film was Remember the Titans. And I had like no idea of filmmaking, but I found out I love process. I love seeing things come together. And so I tell people I stepped on that set knowing nothing, like literally having no information, just lied my way in there. And did not realize how much goes into filmmaking. Like I didn't understand like accounting, wardrobe, hair. It was just like, wow, like this is like totally amazing. And I literally worked on that set for the time I was there. And I did like 4 projects right after that back to back. And so I think it was just that bit me, the bug of process and wanting to be a puzzle maker, a producer to kind of put things together and then kind of see this amazing thing at the end. So
wow, Remember the Titans is one of my favorites. I think I saw that in theaters like 3 times.
Wow.
I definitely had the DVD. Yeah, like that was. I think for me, Remember the Titans was when I was in high school, and Denzel Washington is like one of my favorite actors of all time. And at the time, he was like just my guy. And so I would go study his moves and all that kind of stuff. So like I got most of that script memorized. But I love that story just in terms of how you kind of like fell into it, and that's really hilarious that you're just like, yeah, you're always traveling, whatever. And
right.
Right. So you've kind of given us a little bit of your backstory, but like, how did you take it from, going, for the first time being on set, realizing how much really goes into filmmaking to now with Clothed Minds? How is your breaking in story in terms of the industry?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I saw it, I said, I want to be a part of this, but I didn't know like what does this mean? And so it took me like 3 or 4 years. I did PA work. I was a PA. I was good at it, got referred. I did TV, I did film. And I said, I'm not meant for this. This got to be something else other than filmmaking that I can do, because running around getting coffee and like on my feet, ankle swollen, is not the life for Carletta. And my friend gave me a book called Shoot to Kill by Christine Vachon. And it talked about a producer. And I was like, I want to do that. And so I decided one year, I'm not going to do any more PA work. I'm only going to do producing work. And so I kind of made a declaration to all my folks, like, don't call me for no PA jobs. They still call me anyway. And I was like, nope. December 31st, I think it was 19. It was over 2000. It was like between 2000 and 2002. I just said, I'm not going to do it. I made a declaration and I said, December 31st is it. No more projects. And it was hard. It was rough. Like I didn't get a lot of jobs I applied for. I had no experience. They're like, you know nothing. You've never been in film school. Like, you want to be in accounting? Like, why? You can't. So, and then I just said, I'm just gonna do it myself. So I took a class at Public TV, Access Television, on producing. So I did television initially and got kind of like the role of that and made some shows, got an award, and then dabbled my little pinky toe into filmmaking on some small projects and kind of grew from there. And the directing part, actually, Kevin, was totally because nobody else could do it. Like I wanted this project done.
Right.
And I hired one person that wound up not being able to do it. I found another person and her schedule conflicted. It was like this kind of litany of things not working. And time was slipping. I was like, I got to get this done. It's a timely piece. I can't sit on it. And so I went to a workshop, AFI Docs. And a filmmaker was saying she was a director because sometimes your passion project is when you're the person for the job. And so I heard that and I was like, you know what, Carletta, just do it. And 2 weeks later, we were filming. So it was kind of
Wow.
crazy.
Okay, so I love that. You're the person for the job, and I think obviously you are the director, producer for Clothed Minds. If you could, what inspired this particular film? Like, what made you want to document this and explore this subject?
Kevin, when I tell you I'm a school counselor, I went to a workshop on advocacy. I'm like, oh, I had my little girls learn how to advocate for themselves, get some tricks and tools. And the entire workshop was about this report called Dress Code Bias Dress Codes. And the entire conversation was around dress code policies and how they impact Black girls. And I'm in a corner like, oh my God. And this is so like telling. I was a uniform enforcer at my school. And so
Mm.
I was going, take your shirt in. Where's your belt? Where are your shoes? And I just started to cringe in the corner, like, oh my God, like, I hope they don't ask me any questions because they're gonna kill me. But I recognized two things. One, it needed to be told in a different way. And two, people weren't gonna read this report. And I'm like, how can I make sure people know what is happening? Because even I work in the schools, I was that person. I'm a counselor. I'm supposed to know about empathy and understanding. And it was oblivious to me. And so once I got that knowledge, and once you know, you do better. And I had to make sure people would know about it. And I felt like moving pictures of film would be the best way to kind of get their interest, and they may want more, and they'll go do the research to figure out, oh, how can I be impactful in this area for Black girls? So that's what started, just sitting there listening to them and knowing that regular folks aren't going to be in the room like I am, and like thinking, wow, I should do something different. So
Yeah, so I mean, if you could, because you could probably explain it to the audience better than I could, but the film, the documentary really kind of explores the connection between the dress code that's enforced and how, in many ways, it's biased towards Black bodies and specifically Black girls. One question that I have, and again, you can kind of explain what the documentary explores to the audience. However, one question that I wanted to ask you is the connection in terms of what you just said, right? You got this report, and you're like, okay, this is a bunch of stuff. People probably don't want to read this, but if I can put it on the big screen, people can consume it in a different way. Plus, you could actually connect to the girls that are affected by it. So, in terms of as a documentary filmmaker, can you also talk about giving us those leading lines in terms of educating us through the documentary and connecting us to the people?
yeah, so one thing we're doing now is a curriculum with the film, and how do we do that, right? And part of it is like this is the policing. It's larger than dress codes. Let me say that first. It's larger than dress codes. It's about listening to Black girls. How do they come to you? Understand that it's the content, not the context of what they say, because we're erasing innocence by abusing and policing not just their bodies but their minds. So I think as individuals, the first thing we can do is explore what's happening in your school. Like what is happening? Dress code policies, suspension policies, like how are Black girls being treated, and get the data, like go by the numbers, like who's getting suspended, what are they suspended for, what is the policy? And that gives you a really good insight on what's happening in the school. And then talk to those girls, like just ask a random, like, take 4 or 5, doesn't take a lot of them, and just ask some poignant questions, and you'll begin to unearth. So start getting involved, make phone calls. One thing in the film, not to spoil it, but they went to city council. Like they used their voices in the place where those voices gonna make a difference. And I think that's the issue. We sometimes get in our little circles and complain and talk, but don't talk to the folks who are actually making these decisions and inflicting these harms on these Black girls. So I encourage anyone, go to the schools, PTA, school board meetings, and start asking questions. You have a right to know. You're a tax-paying citizen. If your students go to that school, you're invested in what happens in that school, and they have to give you the information. And then that's how you can evoke change. Information is power.
Wow. This is why I love just from my seat and being able to see films come into the festival year after year. I feel like it's so important that we see films like this that address these issues, that many of us might not even realize are actually happening and taking place. And I think you kind of answered it just now, but what is it that you hope audiences take away from seeing this film?
You know, Kevin, I said every time I talk about this, let's listen to Black girls. If you're aunt, auntie, mama, you know, uncle, cousin, godmother, godfather, teacher, listen to Black girls, and not just listen to say, oh, that's nice, but listen to for action. Like put your feet to the ground and show them that you heard them. Like that's the most important thing. So when you watch Clotheslines, understand this is not just about dress codes, it's about policing the minds and bodies of Black girls in a way that's traumatizing and detrimental to them for long-term effects. Black girls become Black women. If they're bruised and tormented and ashamed of who they are now, imagine how she's going to be at 20, at 25, at 30. So just listen and listen with action in mind.
Carletta, you know, because I told you this right before we got on, but I got a daughter. She is about to be 9 this year, and
wow.
I want to explore this a little bit more, right? Because I know we were wrapping out just then, but listen to Black girls. I feel like listen to Black women, listen to Black girls is a phrase that we've heard for years, right? Whether it's dealing with politics, whether just in general, right? Our Black women are strong, brilliant, and really kind of the backbone of society, right?
I agree.
But you just said listen to them, and you did give a few practicals, but like, how do you actually listen and take action?
So to me, listen and take action means that you show up differently, right? And you made a good point. They say, oh, listen to Black girls. Oh, I heard her. Like, but did you hear what she said? Because sometimes we take the attitude or the passion, I've added the passion of that Black girl to mean attitude, to mean sass, to mean inappropriate, or the angry Black woman. And that's just passion, because just like you go to a rock concert and they're like banging their heads against the wall, you're like, oh my God, it's the music's entertainment. But if a Black woman, Black girl has any sort of level of power in her voice, it's a threat. So disarm yourself and allow whatever she's saying. Again, take action. So what action looks like, if I say, oh, I'm struggling, don't assume that I don't know what's going on. Don't assume it's my mental intellect that's the challenge. Explore, well, what's the challenge? Who are you working with? Like, ask those questions that don't put the blame on her, but give onus to whatever she's talking about. Like, that's the first one. Like, remove the blame from the Black girl. And I think secondly, when showing up in action, it means that you're asking on a regular basis. You don't ask one time and walk away. You find a way to follow up. You show some interest. You make an invested amount of time to say, you know what, she told me X. Let me dedicate the next 3 months to making sure whatever X is, I help her solve. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is we drop in these great, amazing things, and we leave them there with a gift, and that gift does nothing for them long term.
Yeah, you know, I love what you just said in terms of it's not just a one-time conversation. And I think that's even something that I see in my parenting. You know, it's an ongoing conversation so that they also feel comfortable going to you because they know you've invested in them. So that's really powerful and important. Man, Carletta, we could keep going. Clothed Minds will be screening virtually at this year's DC Black Film Festival during our Women's Empowerment Film Block, August 19th through 22nd. Make sure you check out how you can get tickets for the screening and more, as well as like our free events and online panels at dcbff.org. But Carletta, this has been great. How can people find out more about you and the film if they want to?
Yes, so it's pretty easy, clothedminds.com. See, that's our website, and also my name, carlettasHurt.com. You can find information on both those websites. And also I'm on all social media as Carletta Hurt, Twitter and IG. And so, yeah, we welcome the conversation, and we hope that you come out, support the DC Black Film Festival, buy a ticket, buy a pass, support Black films. So yeah, we're excited to be here.
Director, producer of Clothed Minds, Carletta Hurt. I just appreciate this conversation. I needed this conversation. This was good. Thanks for coming on Picture Lock.
Well, no, thank you. I appreciate it.